Hey guys, we're back with another World Cup qualifier video. Today we're going over first Oceania and then lastly Europe. Oceania is hella short, so I'm just combining it into one massive video. Anyways, we start in the semi-finals of the OFC third round. New Caledonia beat Tahiti 3-0 to advance to the final to face New Zealand, who absolutely clapped Fiji 7-0. In the final, it was complete annihilation, and New Zealand won 3-0 and became the second team to book their spot in the World Cup. And this is their first World Cup since 2010, so let's give a round of applause for New Zealand for qualifying after so long. As well as New Zealand qualified for the World Cup, New Caledonia qualified for the Intercontinental Playoffs, so it's the first time a team other than New Zealand competes in those playoffs. In Europe, only groups G through K, the 5-team groups, are being played due to the ongoing Nations League, and since we haven't covered Europe, I have to introduce all these teams. But you're crazy if you think I'm doing the groups that aren't even being played yet. So we start with Group H. In Group H, we have the Netherlands, Poland, Finland, Lithuania, and Malta. First, we have the Netherlands, who have 11 appearances in the World Cup and are the best ever team to never win it, making it to 3 finals and losing all 3. Last World Cup, they were just a penalty shootout away from the semis, but they narrowly lost to Argentina. Poland have qualified 9 times for the World Cup, first in 1938. The best run, though, is when they finished 3rd in both 1974 and 1982. Last World Cup, they barely advanced to the round of 16 past Mexico and fell to France. Finland have never qualified for the World Cup and came just 1 point short of the playoff round in 1998 and their most recent qualifying campaign in 2022. Lithuania and Malta have 0 appearances in the World Cup, and Lithuania's best attempt at qualifying came in 1998 when they were 1 point behind Ireland and barely missed out on the playoff. Last attempt they finished last but didn't manage to win against Bulgaria. The closest Malta came was a 5th place finish in 1994, and every other time they finished last. Group H is honestly the wildcard group with Austria, Romania, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Austria have 7 World Cup appearances, their best run being a 3rd place finish in 1954. They haven't been back, however, since they crashed out of the groups in 1998 and are hoping to return with a young talented squad under Ralf Rangnick. Last qualifying campaign, however, they absolutely shit the bed and finished 4th behind Israel. They're not even supposed to be part of UEFA. They're meant to be in AFC, and you finished behind them? Do you have no shame? No dignity after that? They did advance to the playoff as a result of topping their Nations League group and being one of the best to do so that didn't qualify for the playoff or World Cup already. And from the playoffs, Gareth Bale made the Austrians his bitch and they were eliminated. Romania, just like the Austrians, haven't been back since 1998 during their golden generation, where they reached the round of 16. Their best result, however, is the World Cup before in 1994. Wow, that rhymed. Maybe I'm a potential future rapper. That was the best out of all their 7 appearances, and it's no wonder they haven't made any more after finishing 3rd behind North Macedonia in the last cycle. But they do have some hope going into this campaign after their most recent Euros performance, topping their group ahead of Belgium, Ukraine, and Slovakia. Bosnia's only World Cup appearance comes in 2014, where they obtained a win against Iran, but couldn't get anything else out of Argentina and Nigeria. They haven't been back since, and recently they finished 4th in 2022 behind Finland and Ukraine, and they barely finished 4 points ahead of Kazakhstan. So it's not looking good for the ex-Yugoslav nation. Cyprus are in this group as well, and they have never qualified, with their best result finishing 4th in 2010. And in 2022, they finished 5th and somehow couldn't beat Malta. They did beat Slovenia, however, but that's about it. The Whippy Boys San Marino are also in this group and haven't even gotten close to qualifying, but they've made progress recently, finally getting their first competitive win and getting promoted to League C in the Nations League. They finished last every campaign, and the best they've done is accumulating 1 point in 1994 and 2002. In Group I, we have the qualification ballers Italy and Holland's Norway, along with Israel, Estonia, and Moldova. Italy have 4 World Cup titles to themselves, coming in back-to-back in 1934 and 1938, and 2 more in 1982, and their most recent one in 2006. Ever since, though, they've been terrible. In 2010, they couldn't beat New Zealand and Paraguay and lost to Slovakia. Tell me how you don't even get out of that easy group. It's beyond embarrassing. And in 2014, they got placed in the group of death and could have gotten out if they didn't lose to flipping Costa Rica. And after that, in 2018, they drew to North Macedonia, which took them to the playoffs, and lost to Sweden in the playoff. Sweden hadn't qualified for a World Cup since like 2006 or 2 since then. And you let them beat you? And then in 2022, Jorginho made them bottle the chance to qualify, missing a penalty against Switzerland. And then they couldn't beat Northern Ireland, who haven't made it since since 1986, mind you. Then in the playoffs, North Macedonia struck again, but this time eliminating them. How bad does one have to be? And I don't care that they won the Euros in 2020. That was 100% a fluke, because they faced the biggest bottlers in the history of football, England. But at least they qualify for World Cups, unlike someone. Now that the format is expanded, it will be even more funny when Italy inevitably choke again. Norway have only 3 World Cup appearances where they reached the round of 16, and 2 appearances, including 1998, the last time they qualified, where they somehow beat Brazil to advance to the last 16. In 2022, the Norwegians were in a good position to make the playoff or even qualify, but they bottled against Latvia and bottled even harder against the Netherlands, which eliminated them fully. Israel qualified once in 1970, where they actually barely missed out on the quarterfinals, but their loss to Uruguay was what sent them home. Last campaign, however, they did get close in 3rd and missed out on the playoffs by 7 points behind 2nd place Scotland. Estonia have never qualified, but their best performance goes all the way back to 1938, where they were 2 points behind Sweden and narrowly missed out. But modern day, they finished 4th a total of 4 times in 2002, 2006, 2018, and most recently in 2022. In 2022, however, they weren't even close, 11 points away, and it didn't help that they lost to Belarus. Moldova have 0 World Cup appearances, and the best they did is finish 5th in 2002 and 2014. Last time around, they were last as per usual, but there is hope for the future, as in their most recent Euros qualifying campaign, they heavily impressed and even beat Poland. In Group J, we have Belgium, Wales, North Macedonia, Kazakhstan, and Liechtenstein. Belgium have 14 appearances, and during their golden generation in 2018. In that tournament, they finished 3rd after narrowly losing to France in the semi-finals. However, their generation is over, as in 2022, they crashed out of the groups, losing to Morocco and being unable to score against Croatia because of La Caca. Wales only qualified twice in 1958, where they reached the quarterfinals, and in the most recent edition, 2022, where they finished last and only got a point against an underwhelming USA team thanks to a penalty. Macedonia haven't qualified, and ever since their infamous Italy win, they've been going in the wrong direction, but their best performance in World Cup qualifying ever since becoming independent is obviously their last run in 2022, where they finished 2nd ahead of the likes of Romania and Iceland, and even beat Germany once and qualified for the playoffs. And in the playoffs, we all know what happened. They beat Italy in injury time and made it to the playoff final to play Portugal, but alas, Bruno Fernandes turned on God mode. Kazakhstan have never qualified, but were actually in Asia before switching to UEFA and made it to the final round, where they finished last, but their best performance in UEFA is 2 back-to-back 5th place finishes in 2010 and 2014. Last campaign, they finished dead last in their group, but did manage draws against Ukraine and Bosnia. The best Liechtenstein could manage is a 5th place finish in 2006, and obviously, they've never qualified. Last campaign, they could only muster up 1 measly point, but they had 0 in 2018, so hey, progress. In Group K, we have England, Serbia, Albania, Latvia, and Andorra. England won the World Cup back in 1966, but it has never come home ever since, and they almost made it to the semis and could have played in the final, but this happened. And England bottled, and we're out. Serbia, as an independent nation, have never made it past the groups, and in 2022, we thought it would finally be their time to shine, but they choked hard against Switzerland and Cameroon. Albania have never qualified, but they have been improving as they topped their Euro qualifying group ahead of the Czech Republic and Poland, and they put up decent fights in their group against everyone they played, and even got a point from Croatia, and lost by only 1 goal to Italy and Spain. Honestly, if they were in a different group, I could have seen them going through. Their best attempt in qualifying actually came last cycle, when they finished 3rd, just 2 points behind Poland, and narrowly missed out. Latvia haven't qualified for the World Cup ever, but fun fact, they did qualify for the Euros back in 2004, where they obviously got grouped. Their best chance came back in 1938, when they were just 1 match away from qualifying, but barely lost to Austria. In modern day football, though, their best performance was in 2010, where they finished 3rd, just 3 points behind Greece in the playoff spot. It doesn't look like any football progress is being made, however, after finishing 5th, only ahead of Gibraltar in the last cycle. Andorra haven't qualified and haven't even come close. The only time they finished above last was last cycle, where they finished 5th, but that doesn't even count because it was above San Marino. In 2018, however, they did pull off an upset win against Hungary, that being their first win since 2006 qualifying, where they beat North Macedonia Macedonia. And finally, in Group L, we have Croatia, Czech Republic, Montenegro, Faroe Islands, and Gibraltar. Another wild card group. First, we have the obvious favorites, Croatia, who made it to the final in 2018 and finished third in 2022. And will be looking to qualify again, but it's not looking good after that disastrous Euro campaign. This is honestly the best case scenario for the Czech Republic, who haven't been in the World Cup since the days of Pavel Nedved and Petr Cech in 2006. That was their only appearance as an independent nation. And last cycle, they did get close, finishing third, but still advancing to the playoffs due to the Nations League results, and they narrowly lost to Sweden in extra time. It's not looking good though, as just like Croatia, they didn't do the best in the Euros. Montenegro have never qualified, but came really close to the playoffs back to back in 2014 and 2018. In 2022, they may have finished fourth, but they got by far the hardest group with the Dutch, Holland, Norway, and Dark Horse FC Turkey. But now with an easier group and weakened Czech and Croatian sides, who's to say they finally reach the playoffs and get a good shot at qualifying for the world's supreme competition. The Faroe Islands have never qualified either, and the closest they've came was a fourth place finish in 2018 ahead of the likes of Latvia and Andorra, and in 2022 they followed that up, finishing fifth, only 4 points ahead of Moldova. Gibraltar's first campaign was in 2018, so it's no surprise that they still haven't even earned a single point, let alone qualify for the World Cup. And in their only 2 attempts, they finished last with 0 points. Now we start with the Group G matches, and Oliver Antman saved this terrible Finland team from Malta. Lewandowski had to do the same for Poland, and his goal helped them beat Lithuania. Finland went 2-0 up against Lithuania, but Lithuania did come back with 2 goals of their own, and Finland bottled a chance to go top. Karol Swiderski carried Poland to score a brace to help them win 2-0 against Malta. 2 second-half goals by Cyprus helped them narrowly beat San Marino, while Romania did their quadrennial choking campaign in World Cup qualifying and conceded early to this Finnish Bosnian team. Demirovic put Bosnia 1-0 up, but Pidas leveled the scores for Cyprus before the half. However, Bosnia found the winner right after the break to win 2-1. Romania destroyed San Marino 5-1, but at least San Marino scored. Norway are off to the perfect start with a 5-0 thrashing of Moldova. Israel somehow fell behind to Estonia, but they came back through an own goal and a winner by Eli Dasa, assisted by the GOAT man of Solomon. Rasmus Pizan and Rauno Sapinen both scored to put Estonia 2-0 up against Moldova. Ion Nucleescu pulled one back, but Matthias Kaut scored the decisive goal as it ended 3-2 after a consolation late on. Odegaard assisted David Wolf before the break-in right after the half. Israel soon leveled, but Sorloth, Christopher Ayer, and Erling Haaland all scored, and despite another goal by Israel, it wasn't enough and it ended 4-2 for the Norwegians. Macedonia are in the same group as Liechtenstein for the about 100th time and beat them as usual 3-0. Wales got off to a great start, also going up early thanks to Daniel James. Kazakhstan did earn a penalty, but Ben Davies, who assisted the previous goal, scored, and Wales scored a less important goal in the last minute. Kazakhstan earned a 2-0 win against Liechtenstein, and there was late drama when North Macedonia played Wales as the Macedonians took a very late lead in injury time, but in the last minute David Brooks scraped a point for the Welsh. Dario Sitz made Andorra sit down, get it? This is why I'm dying alone. And won Latvia their first game. Miles Lewis Skelly scored on his England debut, and Harry Kane doubled the lead in the second half to secure all 3 points against arguably England's most dangerous opponent. Albania and England in the next match day both won 3-0 against Andorra and Latvia respectively. Gibraltar surprisingly went up over Montenegro, but Stevan Jovetic leveled scores, and the Montenegrins scored 2 more to secure all 3 points. Patrick Schick scored early against the Faroe Islands before they almost sold late on, but Patrick Schick was there to save the Czechs yet again and salvage a win. The Czechs destroyed Gibraltar 4-0, and Montenegro scraped past the Faroe Islands in the last minute in the next match day. Here are the tables after the window. Don't get too excited, it's only been 2 matches played. Poland at top, just 2 points ahead of Finland in second, while Lithuania are barely in contention after the draw. The Dutch are still yet to play due to the Nations League, and Malta are last with 0 wins. In Group H, Bosnia are off to the perfect start, with Romania and Cyprus trailing right behind them, while Austria are still yet to play, and San Marino are bottom as expected. Over to Group I, and Norway are top, and this has to be Holland's chance to qualify, while Israel and Estonia are fighting for the playoff, trailing Norway. Italy still haven't played, and Moldova are surprisingly last. North Macedonia and Wales are joint top after beating Liechtenstein and Kazakhstan respectively, and drawing against each other. And speaking of Kazakhstan, they are just 1 point behind them. Belgium haven't played, and Liechtenstein are terrible as per usual. England are top as expected, along with underdogs Albania and Latvia, while Serbia haven't played, played, and Andorra fans already want to end it all. Czech Republic and Montenegro are top, albeit Montenegro have looked really shaky. Croatia still haven't played, and the Faroe Islands, along with Gibraltar, are awful. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye. Oh my god, that was a lot to take in.